So, welcome to New Age Parenting on this very special Children's Day edition.
जैसे वो उसमें है ना 3 इडियट्स में कि सक्सेस तो झक मार कर पीछे आएगी.
Yeah, I mean, do something even if nobody is watching you and be right there.
But there are a lot of people where the mother-in-law feels, no, there's this compartment for you. You do this. खाना आप बनाएंगी, बच्चे आप देखेंगी. In fact, it's the other way around. Me and my daughter sit together and we tell our son, I tell my son, हाँ बेटा आज ये कौन सा खाना बनाओगे? And she says, very good mama. इसी को बोलना खाना बना.
Children can actually sometimes negotiate like this based on the CEOs, right? I mean, parents struggle with guilt to say no. तो आपके अनुभव में मैम, how can parents effectively say no without breaking the love bond?
So something about needs and wants. कि needs जो आपकी needs हैं वो हम सब पूरी करेंगे. Wants थोड़ी थोड़ी पूरी करेंगे. I still remember मैंने कहा मैं रोटी बनाऊंगी. सबने कहा कोई नहीं खाएगा घर में because it was a joint family. बहुत बच्चे थे. सब मेरे से कहते थे कोई इसकी हाथ की रोटी नहीं खाएगा. My father used to say कि मैं if everybody goes for a run or goes to a club and does cultural activities, your child is also doing that. You should know everything. You may not get full marks. But as long as your concepts are absolutely clear, I'm fine. For a good investment, your child is your biggest investment. They go and meet the CEOs and CFOs and HR people of various, the biggest corporate organizations. They manage funds, they manage the administration, they bring in the best of celebrities. For 3 days, they manage about 25 schools, and there's a footfall of more than 5,000 to 6,000 children every single day. And it is all a student-led program. We do nothing. So we do that, and our children, how they manage money.
Got a first-hand taste of it last month when
Yes.
the school invited me for the career day. And believe me, ma'am, I was so surprised that 3 kids came to my desk, 3 different kids, pitching me their startup idea and asking me how to raise funds for it. I was bowled over. So, welcome to New Age Parenting on this very special Children's Day edition. I'm your friend Hitesh Shen, and today I have the privilege of hosting one of the most respected and one of the most influential academician in the city, Miss Seema Sapru, who is none other than the principal of the most prestigious heritage school. I'm getting a bit nervous interviewing such a luminary person in front of me, but let me, for the introduction's sake, let me introduce Seema ma'am for you. That Seema ma'am has nearly 3 decades of experience in education, and believe me, friends, she does not look that old. With dual master's degree in chemistry and education and advanced training from IIM Ahmedabad and Harvard University. She has been recognized with multiple honors, including Principal of the Year, India by India Today magazine and EduComp, and the Pride of the Nation award as well. Under her leadership, Heritage School has emerged as one of India's leading day boarding schools across the country, if not the city only, blending strong academics with holistic learning from sciences and arts to sports and life skills. Ma'am, thank you so much for accepting our invite and coming to this show. It's an absolute honor to have you. And while I was preparing all these questions for this podcast, my memories kind of flashed back, and I was thinking, what all should I ask? And I thought maybe 4 questions, 5 questions. I ended up with 11 questions for you.
My God.
So
I'm done for the day.
Okay, so friends, we'll be discussing on a range of topics today, right from discipline to your kids' screen time to some of the modern issues like your kids growing up to becoming a teenager. So we'll have a whole lot of things to discuss. For the introduction's sake, my name is Hitesh Shen and I take care of the wealth management business. All right, ma'am. So coming to the questions straight away. So I come from an era wherein the principal used to carry a cane with him, and in my school the Nopani haircut was a symbol in the city, right? And cut forward, and today you see that hitting a kid is an offense. It's kind of an offense now. So, आपके हिसाब से मैम, which side truly builds character, the old age strictness or the modern gentle approach?
Okay, so Hitesh, can I call you Hitesh?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
ma'am.
So Hitesh, what happens is, see, there are times, different times, and different things work for different kinds of people and in different eras. Say, for example, when I was a student, I remember we used to be in Sophia Convent. So sisters used to carry a cane and they used to give us on our knuckles. Okay. Somehow it never did matter to us. And I think because we had joint families, we had large families. So in any case, we were being, you know, there were people at home who were senior to us or who were junior to us or cousins all around us, so we were used to that physical contact was happening all the time. There was somebody who would pass by and give you one tap on the back and say, okay, go carry on, do this work. So we weren't, it was like a normal kind of a thing. If somebody gave us a tap or a pat on the back, it was like, okay, guys. But today, generally, children have a single child.
Yeah.
People have single children at home, and with a single child, and with times becoming different, this physical contact is supposed to be a taboo. Over and above that, I think what my understanding is, what was happening back then was not very good. You see, uh, the teachers were the only ones who were a source of knowledge. And therefore, there was a different kind of a respect for the teacher. And they thought parents, children, everybody thought that the teacher is the sage on stage. Now, this person, if he says something, everything is right.
Right.
Whereas today it's very different. I don't think it was right to hit children because the student agency at that time was zero. Students, poor things, couldn't do anything, and which was very sad. So, beating up children is never right. But today, if you ask me, touching children also or saying something, even hearing a no, is something difficult by children. So if you have to wait in the queue to get your plate for lunch, for dinner, or wait for your turn to show your exercise book to your teacher, that itself is a cause of stress for children. So that also shouldn't be there. So children should be resilient. That's our
Yes.
duty.
So I remember, ma'am, that back then we used to curse the times when the teachers used to hit. But now, if I look back, I mean, we really think that it built out the character. But yes, as you said, the times have changed, and maintaining a balance and bringing out the resilience in students is the necessity of the hour. All right, ma'am. So going forward, ma'am, my sister has a kid who is about to go to a school, and she calls me and asking, Bhaiya, should I be looking for a school which is top notch in academics, or should I be looking for a school which is very good in extracurriculars? I mean, these are the it's like I mean, when you get into wealth management, should you go for an all equity portfolio which promises you a lot of growth, or should you kind of mix it with stability and go for a hybrid fund? So on that note, ma'am, how should parents take this critical decision for their kids' future?
Once again, it depends on the child, and it also depends on what the parents' planning is for the child. So there are children who are, from the very beginning, you see that they are physically very active. So they're kinesthetic learners. There are others who are musically inclined. There are others who would like to sit and write and draw and paint. So there are different kinds of schools, and you will see that there are schools that are known for only academics, and there is a beeline for those schools also, because there are people who want their children only to become very good at academics and have a very strong focus on becoming engineers, doctors, lawyers, the kind of conventional jobs. There are now suddenly there is a kind of realization, because everybody wants their children to have holistic learning.
Yeah.
So spirituality has become a very important part also. So I guess it's like not one shoe doesn't fit all.
Yeah.
Similarly, to each his own, and it depends entirely on the child's ability and the parents' wishes. So you have different kinds of schools. Please choose the school that is appropriate for your child.
Right, but we are blessed to have a school like the Heritage School in the city, which is kind of perfect in all the fields. I mean, you have the country toppers coming out of the school, and as well as the best athletes being produced from the school. All right.
See, we at no point in time did we stress on only academics. So every year it's a surprise to us. Wow, this year again the country toppers from our school. We celebrated because we didn't ever tell our children that you have to be toppers in anything. The only thing that we tell them is there are two things that are my mantra in school.
Mhm.
One is do the right thing even when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And second is put in the effort. Keep putting in the effort. I firmly believe in the teachings of the Gita
Yeah.
that अपना कर्म करते रहो, फल तो मिलेगा ही. जैसे वो उसमें है ना 3 इडियट्स में कि सक्सेस तो झक मार कर पीछे आएगी. तो अपना you keep working hard and success will follow you everywhere.
Wow, what deep lines that yeah, I mean, do something even if nobody is watching you and be right there. Okay, so ma'am, moving on, and traditionally mothers have been involved in the child's upbringing while the fathers kind of working. But today, considering that both the members of the family are now working, the father's role is kind of becoming equally critical. तो मैम आप क्या कहती हैं, हाउ कैन फादर्स मीनिंगफुली स्पेंड टाइम विद देयर यंग वंस एंड नॉट जस्ट ऑन द वीकेंड्स?
So, see, I have been very fortunate that way. I have lived in a joint family. My mother in law was a big, big support to me. And my husband has never actually, demanded anything from me that, every day there has to be absolutely 7-course meal and this, that, and the other. So, I've been very fortunate that way. And the difference here is that, well, yes, we were both working, and yet there are certain things that there were compartments made that this is your job, this is my job. So the best example that I can give you is of my son. My son lives in Europe with his wife and with his children, and I can tell you that well, he cooks most of the time. He After his work, the first thing he does is he comes back to the kitchen, because my daughter-in-law is also working and
Yeah.
she has kids to look after. So we have, it's very interesting to see that how they balance out everything, and they make sure that children are, both the husband and the wife are involved. One more thing I would like to add here is maybe your parents or me as a parent. See, we bring up our girls to become very strong and smart. We bring up our boys also the same way, maybe. But when we have a daughter in law, we don't want our daughter in law to be as smart and as empowered as our daughter. So that mindset has to change. That's critical. And I'm telling you, we've been very fortunate to have a daughter in law who's so accomplished and who is so good with everything that there has been it's like family. But there are a lot of people where the mother-in-law feels, no, there's this compartment for you, you do this, khana aap banayengi, bacche aap dekhengi. In fact, it's the other way around. Me and my daughter sit together and I tell my son, हाँ बेटा आज ये कौन सा खाना बनाओगे? And she says, very good mama, इसी को बोलना खाना बना. So it's like that. So it's good fun.
But honestly, ma'am, your daughter-in-law is blessed to have a mother-in-law.
I'm
like
very
you.
blessed to have a daughter-in-law like her. She's a wonderful person.
Right, right.
Very, very mature, very talented, absolutely brilliant.
But ma'am touched upon a very important social cause, that the importance of daughter and daughter-in-law is equally important. All right. So moving forward, ma'am, and some of the recent day issues, which is on bullying. Bullying is actually one of the biggest fears for both children and the parents. What's your advice? I mean, how should a child respond and how should a parent intervene so that he does not end up making the situation worse?
So bullying has been there, since times immemorial. And see, there are parents who come to me and they say, "Ma'am, the child was in such and such school and there was a lot of bullying happening there." So my first reaction to this is, see, bullying can happen there, bullying can happen here as well. Maybe they'll say, "No, ma'am, there are about 15, 20 children, they got together and they beat up my child." So maybe 15, 20 won't get together. Maybe 5 children will get together. So there are bad children, good children everywhere. Everywhere. It also depends on you as a child as to how do you deal with situations. So the best part is to understand that, you have to go with the flow and also know how to respect yourself. So respecting yourself and respecting others. Only if you respect yourself can you respect the others. And if you respect everybody around you, I don't think people bully you. And yet, if there is bullying happening, parents' intervention is not a very good idea. Because the best part is that there should be absolutely an open, transparent system. First thing is, before bullying can happen, actually, what we do is we have 5 counselors in the school, and your child is here. So let him grow up to be in slightly bigger classes. So class 2 onwards, 3 onwards, we have these classes for, these are called life skill classes, where bullying is one of the, topics, themes that we talk about. And we make sure that children know that bullies are always very weak people. They are insecure people. So it's not the strong people who bully, it's the weak people who bully. And once they know this, they decide that we're going to be strong. We're not going to be troubling anyone. Also, that we will stand up to anyone who says anything wrong to anyone. So we have decided that there is there are smart kids who are sensitive, who are motivated, who are articulate, and so we've named them smart kids. They then ensure that no one is bullied, and if bullying still happens in their absence, whatever anyone gets bullied, my request is, children, please go to your class teacher, go to your coordinator, go to someone in the school, because we have this very, very, well written out policy, which is called a positive discipline policy, wherein we ensure that there is, equal opportunity given to both sides, because sometimes children are very clever.
Yeah.
What they do is, nobody has bullied them, but they have bullied somebody. So to cover up on that, they'll blame somebody else. So we have the entire, if it is in the bus, if it is in the classroom, everybody is invited and asked what exactly happened.
Yes.
And then, as I said, there's a grievance committee, there is a counselor committee, there's an academic committee, there's a discipline committee, and we meet very often to ensure that each and every, whatever the issue, it has to be resolved by the committee and not by one person.
But I really like this thought, ma'am, that when you inculcate this idea into these young minds that bullying is done by weak people and the strong people never bully, that's a really good thought. All right, ma'am, moving on. And this question is something which is personal to me.
Okay.
Children can actually sometimes negotiate like this best of the CEOs, right? I mean, parents struggle with guilt to say no. And you end up buying everything for your kid just to pamper or just to show your love. So, आपके अनुभव में मैम, how can parents effectively say no without breaking the love bond?
देखो, हम नो उसी को कहते हैं जिससे बहुत प्यार करते हैं, उसी को कह सकते हैं. जो कोई सड़क पर चल रहा है इंसान और वो गलत बात बोले, गाली दे दे, तो क्या मैं उसको डांटूंगी? नहीं, मैं आप ही को डांटूंगी क्योंकि आप मेरे बच्चे हैं। मैं आप ही को ना कहूंगी। और एक नेगोशिएशन की जहां तक बात है, बच्चे तो बहुत क्लेवर है भाई, बच्चों को ज्यादा आता है, हमसे ज्यादा बच्चों को मालूम है। So I would suggest that, from the very beginning, before going to the marketplace, you tell them that, see, today we will have a pizza and an ice cream. Or if you want, you can say one of the two. Or if you say that, you will have a certain toy that you want for your birthday. So it has to be very clearly mentioned to them that, see, beta, पापा मम्मी को अभी हम लोग जरा प्लान कर रहे हैं कि वी आर गोइंग फॉर अ ट्रिप टू से राजस्थान, और वी आर प्लानिंग अ ट्रिप टू यूरोप, और वी आर प्लानिंग अ ट्रिप टू मनाली, कहीं भी जा रहे हैं। देखो बेटा, वहां ज्यादा पैसा लगेगा, वहां जाकर हम लोग ये करेंगे। और अभी भैया को एक वॉच दिलाना है, अभी हमको ये एक लैपटॉप खरीदना है। सो बताइए क्या चीज ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है? सो समथिंग अबाउट नीड्स एंड वांट्स, कि नीड्स जो आपकी नीड्स हैं वो हम सब पूरी करेंगे, वांट्स थोड़ी थोड़ी पूरी करेंगे। सो ऐसे ऐसे करके अगर बच्चों को बता दिया जाए, बच्चे बहुत समझदार होते हैं, बहुत समझदार बच्चे हैं।
You tackled it like a CEO only, that you explain. I mean, instead of just being kind of forthright and saying that no, it's no and hence no. It's always good that you explain the entire scenario to the kid, and the kid would understand and make the natural choice.
एकदम।
All right. Uh, and kids move on to become teenagers. And these teenager years are perhaps the most confusing time for both the kid and the parent. And I can see changes in my daughter's life happening, although she's not a teenager right now. And life really changes. I mean, as a parent, you felt like, oh, this was my sweet child, and all of a sudden she becomes like
Yes,
a
yes, yes.
slightly more rebellious, a slightly more forthright in what she believes. So, what's your one golden advice to parents on handling this kind of a transition phase for the parents per se? How do they handle this?
देखिए, what happens is, as a growing child, even I know that I have troubled my parents, and we should be prepared for it, and we should, have a group of parents talking to each other, and ensuring कि बेटा आपके भी बच्चे ऐसा ही कर रहे हैं, मेरे भी बच्चे ऐसा ही कर रहे हैं। So there's nothing wrong with it. There are hormones playing up.
Yeah.
So children will do such things. However, थोड़ा सा हम लोगों को patience चाहिए. Why I say this is because I think earlier on, my mother was a homemaker. She was a housewife. She was a normal housewife, and she had all the time in the world to talk to us. And I don't ever remember my mother giving me sermons, preaching something. Never. वो इतना काम करती थी, खाना भी बना रही हैं, क्रोशे भी कर रही हैं, स्टिचिंग भी कर रही हैं, knitting भी कर रही हैं, आर्ट भी कर रही हैं. And I wouldn't say that I'm very good at it, but well, I know everything. मतलब हम लोग मतलब I find it very funny when people say I don't know how to iron. So ironing भी कर सकें, मैं ये जो ट्यूब है, ट्यूबलाइट, वो भी उतार के नहीं लगा सकती हूँ, उस पर क्या वो ठीक करके. और तो हम लोग जैसे, और स्टिचिंग निटिंग मुझे सब आता है, खाना बनाना भी आता है. इसलिए नहीं कि मतलब देखा, मम्मी ने कभी नहीं कहा कि आप ये करिए तो करिए. तो इस एज में जब टीनेज में आ जाते हैं, तो उनको ट्रीट देम लाइक, गिव देम रिस्पेक्ट. दे आर टीनेजर्स. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर, मैंने कहा मैं रोटी बनाऊंगी, सबने कहा कोई नहीं खाएगा घर में, बिकॉज इट वॉज अ जॉइंट फैमिली, बहुत बच्चे थे. सब मेरे से कहते थे कोई इसकी हाथ की रोटी नहीं खाएगा. माई फादर यूज्ड टू से, नहीं मैं खाऊंगा इसके हाथ की रोटी. So you need that respect, you need that identification, you need that little bit of acknowledgement in that age कि आप बड़े हो रहे हैं और आपकी रिस्पेक्ट की जा रही है. कोई भी बात हो तो कमरे में ले जाकर अलग से उसको बता दिया कि हमें बता दिया गया कि आपने आज ऐसे बोला था, ऐसे नहीं बोलना है. आप कोई घर में आया था और आप you were sitting on the sofa, which is not appropriate. You should never have sat like that. आपको ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए था. और कुछ लोग आए थे, आपने वहां पर, मैंने आपको देखा था लेकिन आप उठी नहीं वहां से, वहां पर नहीं बोला सबके सामने, लेकिन अंदर जाके
Understandable.
समझाया कि बेटा ये सब नहीं करना चाहिए। तो मेरे ख्याल से अगर बच्चों को, छोटे बच्चों को, जो टीनेजर्स हैं, उनको बहुत ज़्यादा रिस्पेक्ट की ज़रूरत है और उनकी आइडेंटिटी बनी रहनी चाहिए। नहीं तो आपसे नहीं बोलेंगे तो जाके किसी फ्रेंड से बोलेंगे, और फिर वो लोग पेरेंट्स से दोस्ती नहीं रखते हैं, फिर बाहरी दोस्ती रह जाती है फिर।
Right. So, I mean, just like we kind of deal with our subordinates in the office, you're saying that the parents should also deal with their growing children in the same manner. All right. So, ma'am, moving on, and I have one of my favorite stories now from the Mahabharata and its relevance in today's life. That back then, Dronacharya called all his shishya and said कि वो पेड़ पे बैठी चिड़िया की आँख पर आपको निशाना लगाना है. And one after the other, every Yuvraj came and Dronacharya asked him, "What do you see?" And he says, "I see the sky, I see the tree, I see the leaves and everything." But when Arjun came, that is where he said that मुझे ये नहीं दिख रहा है, ये नहीं दिख रहा है, मुझे तो क्या दिख रहा है, तो मुझे सिर्फ चिड़िया की आँख दिख रही है, तो बोला चलाओ बाण, और he kind of hit the target. In today's life, I mean, cut forward in today's life, the kind of distractions that we see is Facebook, Reels, K-drama.
What
So,
is K-drama? I don't know.
Korean drama. I mean,
Korean drama.
the teenagers kind of love that.
Oh,
So, I mean, in today's life, ma'am, every parent's struggle is to kind of match with the study time versus the screen time. So, I wanted to ask you this question, and this question comes out from every parent watching this show right now: that how can parents help kids build discipline and long-term focus in this age of instant gratification?
see, instant gratification is something which I feel, or everybody observes. हम तो चिट्ठी लिखते थे. You used to write one letter which used to reach after 7 days. Then those people will write a letter which will reach us after 7 days. So one would say, okay, fine, let's not write. So here the email reaches in half a second. So forget that bit. Instant gratification is something very different. But social media and all these things, I can tell you, you see, we have social media at home. We have social media here. We are, busy with our work. You have to give to children something which is more interesting than social media. Say, for example, if I'm playing a game, now people say I play games. For me, playing game is going to the field.
Yeah.
For me, playing game is not here.
Yeah.
So, what I would suggest is when parents come to me, so like if you're telling me, I would say, at home, what is everybody doing? If everybody is on the phone, your child is also on the phone. If everybody is reading a book, your child is also reading a book. If everyone goes to the gym, your child also goes to the gym. If everybody goes for a run or goes to a club and does cultural activities, your child is also doing that. So it all depends what the culture of the home is. So if you people, after coming back from the office, you're still working on the phone, children are very, very understanding and very smart, and they will know that Papa is doing his work just now. Mummy is doing her work just now. But if you were coming back home and only taking selfies all the time,
then you should not curse about how your kid
then you
turns up.
shouldn't say that the बच्चे ये सब कर रहे हैं. अरे मैं खुद ही पूरा दिन अपनी सेल्फी ले रही हूँ. तो
Right.
ये इट ऑल डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट कल्चर. क्योंकि घर में क्या होता है, सब लोग काम करके आए, सबने बैठे खाना खाने के लिए बैठे, टीवी चलाया, सोप्स, हिंदी सोप्स आ रहे हैं वन आफ्टर द अदर, एवरीबडी इज वाचिंग इट, एवरीबडी इज ऑन द फोन, एवरीबडी इज अपना अपना फोन लेके, सब जने फोन, एक एक खाने की फोटोग्राफ ले ली, एक डाइनिंग टेबल की फोटोग्राफ ले ली, एक उसकी ले ली फोटोग्राफ, सब सोशल मीडिया पे कर रहे हैं.
Instagram.
जब वो कर रहे हैं तो बच्चा भी तो यही करेगा. सो यू डिसाइड व्हाट इज द, घर में कोई नहीं करेगा, तो घर
बच्चा
में
भी
कोई
नहीं
नहीं
करेगा.
करता, बच्चा भी नहीं करेगा, उसको पता ही नहीं है कि क्या करना है.
And believe me, friends, this is one piece of golden advice that I'll take from ma'am this time.
I don't think
And
they do it.
make sure that we control the home environment, and hence the kids would turn out the way you want them to be.
Yes.
Right. Okay, my next question is regarding kids kind of preparing for their grades at the nth hour. Yeah, that is something like yeah, I mean the parents would break their head कि बच्चा पहले पढ़ ले पहले तैयार कर ले, but you know that okay, on Monday there's a grade, and on a Sunday night at about 11 o'clock we would be kind of getting into the child's head कि भाई अब पढ़ ले and ultimately फिर वो grades निकल जाते हैं. So ma'am, the question is that what practice can parents and school encourage to reduce this last minute stress for both the parent and the kid and help kids learn consistently?
So my take on this is, see, parents, please remember, if they're coming to heritage, we generally, what we do is there is one chapter, maximum 2 chapters that are actually one chapter that's given to them for a grade twice a week. Now, one is on Monday, one is on Friday, whatever they do, or one is Monday, one is Tuesday, or some people are doing only 2 tests only on Monday. All that is happening. Please remember, parents, in heritage, at the heritage school, we try and ensure that children complete their syllabus. It's a little bit of revision also done. Their homework is completed, answer scripts are corrected, answer booklets are corrected. Everything is done by then. As long as they're in class 5, I think half an hour of study at home is more than enough for that chapter, whatever they're studying. Unless the parents are in a competition that what is happening in the next, we have to do what the Joneses do. So next house में क्या उसके 15 में से 14 आया है, आपका 14.5 आना ही आना है. So please remember, as I say, it is the effort. It is the effort that matters. So please make sure that your child puts in the effort. She should know everything. You should know everything. You may not get full marks, but as long as your concepts are absolutely clear, I'm fine with it. So please keep that in mind, and don't say that tomorrow is a test, so finish your this thing. You should also wake up a little earlier and say that the entire day, can we not have a picnic today? But before we start for the picnic, can we for half an hour? Can I just sit with you and understand whether you know it or not? And then the entire day you're free to have fun. Why can't we do that?
So this is actually very much like investing. I mean, as you said, rightly said that the focus should be on goal, that the children is understanding the lesson. Similarly, when it comes to investing, we say that your focus on investments should be regarding that you should be achieving your goal. But just like what ma'am said, that if your friend, if your neighbor, if your WhatsApp group, people are boasting that, look, we got so much of return and hence we are great. And that is how you compare the kids' scores. And then you kind of get into a peer pressure, then that is what makes the life worse. So point taken, ma'am.
Point taken. One more thing. Please remember, since you're talking about investment, your child is your biggest investment, is the most important investment. Invest your time, effort, money, everything in your child. Money will come and go.
Fair enough, ma'am. I'm sure every parent would do that. Next question is slightly tricky, ma'am, and this is something which has kind of come up in the last 2-3 years, and this is the age of AI, and it makes your life so simple to do your homeworks, to kind of appear for your test, just by asking the same set of question to a chat GPT, and they would give you a better answer. So in this age of AI, you cannot kind of disregard it, but how do you maintain originality, creativity, and critical thinking in kids? How do you, I mean, how do we achieve that? And I mean, the way things are moving, I don't really see, I mean, that in 10 years' time, how would studies look like? Kind of feels a bit scary. But your views on that, ma'am?
No, I think there's nothing very scary about it. Nothing is scary. You see, you have to embrace technology. You can't run away from it. And I have been reading a lot about AI because I find it very, very, very fascinating to understand कि AI में हो क्या रहा है भाई? What is happening? And I use ChatGPT extensively. And not because I don't find the answers, I don't have the answers, but I want to know what is ChatGPT thinking. So I have to find out what is ChatGPT thinking? So I ask from ChatGPT, then I go to Gemini, then I go to Grok, then I go to various other, Copilot, then I go to various things, and I try and find out what do they think and what is my thinking. उसके बाद में देखिए, things will improve as we learn more and more about AI. Say, for example, today everything is the marks are given on what you write. We're shifting to a lot of things. Which class is your child?
Class
in?
6.
Class 6. So she is taking those bagless day tests.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there? Can you use ChatGPT there?
No.
So they're doing dramatics. They're doing Indian Parliament. They're doing, today was somebody who was telling me today I have to run just now because we have some history project was there today.
Yeah.
They have to make a research paper today, I think. So they have to make a research paper, and everything is done in the school without books, without computer, without anything. It is just that we have a group of 5 children. A topic is given to them. These 5 children will only, they'll talk to each other, discuss, disagree with each other, debate, and then collectively they will collaborate and they will make a research paper.
Yeah.
That research paper will be submitted to the teacher, and in that research paper we have a rubric for them, and that rubric is for each individual child. Just because the paper is very well made, because 5 children have made it, each one doesn't get the same marks.
Yeah.
So when it is your turn, you have to speak for 2 minutes
Correct.
about what you think regarding that topic. So here, you see, so you have to, if ChatGPT and all these things, AI is doing something different, we as educators have to be smarter than AI.
Yeah.
And we have to look for various things. What do we do better so that children don't use AI? Or even if they use AI, there's nothing wrong with it. Because sometimes I realize that, you don't know an answer. You write the question, you get the answer, and then you see, okay, but this is not what I was looking at. I wanted this kind of an answer. Then you give another prompt. Then it gives you a more specific answer. Then you give another prompt. No, but I didn't mean this. I meant this. So then it gives you another prompt. Then you say, no, but I want a comparison between this and this. So what happens is, it's not wrong as long as you're using it to, get ideas, to bring up, to understand, to comprehend, to maybe analyze, to maybe apply to different situations. So as long as you're moving on to higher learning skills, well, good enough.
Right. So as you rightly said, ma'am, that just like technology is evolving, even the methods of teaching is evolving.
Yes.
I mean, I remember my daughter was making comic strips
Yes.
on some topic which was given to her, and there were like a bunch of 5 students who were kind of discussing on a WhatsApp chat group as to who is going to do what. And I mean, I could clearly see that that is how teamwork happens in a corporate life, and this is what you're preparing the kids for. So point taken, ma'am. So
Also, one more thing here, when you're saying that they are all together, they're working together, what we've understood is each parent today has one child, maximum 2 children. 2 children, that's also, rare.
Yeah.
So here, to be able to, when you work in a corporate organization or wherever in life, even if you have to live in a family, you have to live with people. And you have to have, you have to agree to disagree. कि आप ये कह रहे हैं, ठीक है, मेरा ये, this is my opinion, this is somebody else's opinion, so your idea seems better than mine. But at home, though, I'm the boss.
yeah.
Mummy, Papa, everybody listens to me. But at school, I realize nobody listens to me. We have to together come to one solution. So I think that's important for everybody to understand.
Right. Friends, I mean, this session that I'm doing right now, I mean, I'm lost in my thoughts. And this is one of the best sessions that I'm shooting right now. I can tell you that. Uh, ma'am, one last question because I've taken a lot of your
This is
time.
the last question. Wow, so we finished 10 already.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Tell me.
All right. So, ma'am, financial literacy is as important as academics. I mean, especially in today's times when kids have plenty. How do you introduce concepts like saving, value of money, ethical investing? How early should you do you think that children be exposed to this? And I mean, at Heritage School, what kind of efforts are you taking to introduce the concept of finances even at the young, tender age?
So tell me, how long has your child been here?
Since
Ankuran?
yeah, since
Ankuran
Ankuran,
1?
yeah,
So, you see, what happens is, even in Ankuran 1, we have our children, um, we give them money and we take them to departmental stores, we take
yeah,
them to various places. They go to the zoo, they go to various places, and they have to buy their own tickets, and they have to, in 100 rupees, they have to buy one packet of chips and one packet of this thing. Chips, of course, are not allowed in our school. Sorry, I should never have said chips. So they're allowed to buy a few things, maybe a loaf of bread or a block of butter. So whatever they buy, they have to buy within the budget that has been given to them. That is one thing. Of course, that's something that we've understood earlier also. But as you grow older, as I said, we have life skills which we do twice a week. Your child must be doing life
yes,
skills.
yes, yes,
So in the life skill classes, we are very clear about how money has to be spent. And we also have entrepreneurship programs, and I hope you know about our very, very old, the mushroom cultivation that we started many years ago in our school. So we have these business, uh, you know, entrepreneurship programs very often. Plus, this year we're completing our 25 years, and you'll be very happy to know that we have a very strong alumni association,
yeah.
which is called TOHA, the Old Heritage Association. So we are planning a 3-day business festival when we complete our 25 years. And we would like everyone from all across the world to come here. We would like to invite the the most well-known business people to our school, and within the country, from the country, of course, from everywhere. And let us see that, how our children understand the concept of finances. Here, when you talk about, I don't know if you know about Utopia.
Yeah, Ethiopia is your program
Utopia
fest,
is
yeah.
one of our
School fest, yeah.
festivals, which we celebrate. And you will be surprised that these few children, it with so much of warmth and so much of love for them and so much of pride for them, they go and meet the CEOs and CFOs and HR people of various, the biggest corporate organizations.
Yeah.
They manage funds, they manage the administration, they bring in the best of celebrities. For 3 days, they manage about 25 schools, and there's a footfall of more than 5 to 6,000 children every single day. And it is all a student-led program. We do nothing. We actually do nothing. I just sit here and enjoy. And children come to me and they say, "Ma'am, this celebrity has come." And they take me as one celebrity and they take me there, and I happily meet them. So it's like that. So these children, they work for 1 month. And this we allow them to do it only after they finish their class 11 examination. And there is a short break for them. During their break, they work so they don't lose school time. And we do it generally in the end of April, first week of May, so that the entire year after that they're free to study. So we do that, and our children, how they manage money, they're experts at it. And
I'm,
they know how to cut corners. how to negotiate, how to do resolve issues. They're very, very good at it.
I mean, I got a first-hand taste of it last month when the
Yes.
school invited me for the career day. And that is where a group of 15 professionals from different fields had actually come down to the Heritage School. And there were three batches, class 8, class 9, and class 10. And there were like 300 kids in each of these kind of sessions, wherein every parent was supposed to speak about their profession for like 30 seconds to 1 minute. And then it was like a 40-minute free for all that the kids can go to whichever counter. I mean, whether the Navy guy sitting over there or the dermatologist sitting on the other side, they can go and talk. And believe me, ma'am, I was so surprised that three kids, since I belong from the finance field, so three kids came to my desk, three different kids, pitching me their startup idea and asking me how to raise funds for it. I was, I was bowled over that this is something that these kids are so smart, and I'm so happy that Heritage School actually builds that kind of a value, culture, spirit in these kids, and they are growing. I mean, the future is really bright, guys. I mean, the future is really bright. So, I actually have, ma'am, endless thoughts in my mind, but it has to end somewhere. I can tell you one thing, guys, that I mean, this was not an endorsement video for sure, but I mean, after hearing this video, you would 100% understand the kind of sentiments, value, culture that this school brings. I mean, it balances both your academics to your extracurriculars and takes care of the entire upbringing of your child. And as ma'am rightly said, that your child is your biggest asset, and you need to invest your time, money, and everything for your child. And if you have an institution like the Heritage, then what better choice do you have? Thank you so much, ma'am, once again for accepting our invite
Thank you
and
so
being
much. Thank you so
there
much.
in
Very
this show.
proud of our kids.
Thank you so much, ma'am.